What's going on? Welcome to another episode of the Impel Forward Podcast. I'm your host, Leon, and today I have a special guest. Now, she was on here before, and she's added another title to her name. She is a doctor, a psychotherapist. She's been to school about 11 times. But I don't think she had to go to school for this one. At least I don't think so. But we're gonna get to it. We're gonna welcome to the stage Dr. Audrina Jones Bunton. What's going on?
Hello there. I love the introduction. How's it going?
It's going good. Oh, let me remind y'all, this is my aunt, my aunt, Dr. Audrina Jones Bunton, and now an author and a published author. She's added something to her name. Now,
yes.
How many times you been to school?
Oh my gosh. Let me see. I have about maybe 6 degrees.
6 degrees.
About 6 degrees. Yep. Yeah. Yep.
And you didn't. Go ahead.
Now this last one was it. That no more.
Right.
I hit her and that's enough.
That's enough. Between her and my mama, they got 100 degrees. Yeah. Now this episode is brought to you by impelforwardmerch.com. That's impelforwardmerch.com. All things Impel Forward merch. Impel Forward merch. We're still doing a 40% off sale. 40% off sale. Make sure you go to impelforwardmerch.com. Now we gonna go ahead and get into it. Now we ain't gonna give them too much. We don't want to give them too much because we want them to get the book.
Right.
This is the book right here. The call is for you. It's God. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm gonna tell you something. Now, you, Audrina, you know I ain't doing my homework. You know I ain't doing my work in school. Now.
I was wondering about that. I was like, how's he going to do this? Is he going to read? Yeah, I was wondering about this. You're going to tell me what you did.
This book here got you doing homework, but hey, I'm gonna tell you, it's some good stuff in here. It's some good stuff in here. So, in a couple of episodes ago, I did a show on purpose, passion, gifts, and talents. And when I started reading this book, I was like, wow. I was like, man, there's some stuff in here. So tell me what inspires you to do this book?
So what inspired me to do this book? Actually, the book has been in the making since 2005.
Okay, I remember you told me that.
2005, and actually ended up being a reality in 2024. But what inspired me to actually do the book was because I was struggling for a while, trying to find my own purpose. And as a psychotherapist now, I know some of the struggles that individuals go through whenever they're just stuck in life. And so I was inspired to do the book because I wanted people to sort of look at my journey for one, but so that people can take the shortcut, not have to go through so many years of trying to find out what their calling is, what their purpose is. And really just to really help people to navigate through that, because so many people are living life just merely existing, and we don't have to. And a lot of times we think it's because of other things like depression or whatever, but a lot of time it's simply because you don't even know why you're here. You don't even know why you're on this earth. And so I wanted people to really be able to see at an eye's glance what that, why they were called.
Right. Now I have been asking people myself, like, what is your purpose? What is your passion? And people have been like, man, that's some good questions. I don't know. I have to figure it out and get back to you. And I'm like, I understand. I'm like, well, a lot of times we go through life not knowing, not even thinking about those questions. And it's something to think about. Now, and in here you said that when you would go on jobs, and they would ask you where do you see yourself in 10 years or
Mm-hmm.
so, and you would have these, you didn't really know, you couldn't figure it out at the time, and
Mm-mm.
you talked about you working overtime and you just really not feeling your jobs. How did you get
Mm-hmm.
over that?
Well, yeah. So during those times, it's the whole typical interview questions. Where do you see yourself 5, 10 years from now? And
Mm-hmm.
my answer to that question every time I went for a job interview, and I'm sure that many people that are listening right now can really relate. And that is, I would say the same thing every time, and that was to do something to help people. But I
Mm-hmm.
never knew what that was. I knew that God, there was something on the inside where that I was to help people, but I had no clue as to what that was. So I just sort of went through life, constantly, just going through life, working job in, job out, and really not knowing why I was here on this earth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you said that you was going through some of your photos. I think somewhere in the book you was going through. You went through your shed or something. And you was going through some of your high
Mm-hmm.
school things, and
Yeah.
you seen something a girl wrote to you, telling you that she's glad that you listened to her and her problems and all that. What made you the go-to person in school?
So, so one thing that I was doing around that time, if there during that time, if there was a purpose-driven book or some type of purpose book written,
Mm-hmm.
I got it because I was on this journey trying to find out what my purpose was because I just felt like I was at a dead end in my life. I felt like I was going nowhere fast, working on jobs that I just simply didn't like, dealing with people every day on jobs that you didn't want to deal with. And I just felt stuck. I was very unsatisfied in the jobs that I worked.
Mm-hmm.
And I started reading these different books. And I can recall one book sort of advising to asking the question, well, what did you like? What did you do when you were younger? If you could go back and look at your life as you was a younger child, what would that be like? And so there was something, and I say something, God had to be pulling me to, I still had my high school paraphernalia. Now, this was like decades with children after I graduated from high school. And so to this day, I still have my high school paraphernalia. I'm not going to tell you when I graduated, but it was decades ago. Um, and so I went out in my storage unit and I have a box with my high school stuff in it, high school yearbooks and all that in it. And so I went out in my storage unit and I pulled that box out one day and I brought it in my living room. I sat on this little table and I started just going through my high school yearbooks and then the senior book. I was going through those books page by page. Now, prior to that, I had been seeking God's face, reading books. Every book I read, I don't care how well the author was, how well known they were, I still could not find the answer. Like, what was I called to do? I couldn't find the answer. And I started going through these yearbooks, and as I was skimming through the pages, there were individuals that wrote things like, "You're just like dear Abby. You're the only one that know my dearest, darkest secrets. It's easy for you to talk to," and things like that. And as I sat there reading that book, tears just began to flow down my face, and I was like, "Wow, the thing that God called me to do, it was in me all along." In high school, if you would have asked me prior to me reading all that, if I was doing those things in high school, the only thing I remember about high school is having fun and being a cheerleader and being running track and being in the high school clubs. I would have never known during that time that I was that person for so many individuals.
Mm-hmm.
And as I was reading that, it's just like heaven just opened up for me. And I was like, God, I've been doing it all along. The thing that you called me to do, I've been doing it all along, and I didn't even know it. And that is when that light bulb moment came for me.
Mm.
That I am who I am, and that is a helper to encourage people through counseling, to encourage people through healing, as a therapist. And as I sat there and I sort of thought about it, jobs that I had prior to that, things that I was doing, like I was already going to school for sociology during that time. I had already had a job, well, not a job, an internship where I was counseling individuals that were at risk for pregnancy risk. I was doing it. But I still did not really know that I was called to be doing it until I
Hmm.
read through that and realized that was who God called me to be.
Now, during that time, was that what led you to write the book, or that's when you started uh, sociology or the psychotherapist going to school for that?
So I actually started. So what prompted me to really start writing the book in around 2005? I was finishing up for my first master's degree in biblical Christian counseling. And as a part of one of the final assignments there, we had to write a manuscript. We had to do that. And that was the beginning of the book for me when I started writing the book. But the book was in transition for so many years. It lay dormant for about 12 years after that class because I still did not know during that time what it was that I wanted to do. And I would pick the book up, I would do some writing in it, and then it would sit still for another year or more. And I kept picking the book up until between 2005 through 2022 was actually whenever I started working on it again. But 2024 is whenever it was actually published.
Okay, great, great. So why was it important for you to write the book in the format that you did with all the homework in it?
So it was really important to me because as a psychotherapist, I know the importance of doing the work. Okay. So we have a tendency as individuals to say, I want to do this, I want to make this change. And I want to give an example. Let's just say that you wanted to lose 20, 30 pounds and wanted to sort of get some definition and everything. And you walk in the gym, you see all this equipment, you see the elliptical machine, you see the treadmill, you see the bicycles. Then you turn around and walk back out.
Hmm.
The stuff is there, the information and the tools are there. But if you don't actually utilize the tools and do the work, nothing is going to happen. No change is going to happen. You're not going to see the results. So, as a part of my psychotherapy practice, one thing that with any client, any patient that I have, a part of the work that we do is doing the work outside of sessions, not just simply saying that you want change, not just simply wanting it. And so this book is not a book just for the sake of reading it. So if you want a book just to be able to read through and not make any changes, this is not the book for you. But if you want to know why you're here on this earth, if you want to know why you were called, if you want to know what your purpose is, if you're stuck in life where you feel like you just don't know which way to go and at a crossroads, this book is for you. Why? Because it's going to get you thinking, it's going to get your mind, it's going to start rewiring your brain and start getting your emotion and thinking about why am I called? And the purpose of the book is that by the time you go through these activities, by the time you're done with the book, you'll have an inkling as to why you're called and what your purpose is. So that is the purpose of the homework, because actually writing things down makes the appropriate side of the brain to start recollecting, starts rewiring, you start thinking a little differently. So writing things down is really, really important for transformation.
Right. When I start reading the book, I go every so many paragraphs or lines, I'll be like, I'm like, I'm find myself saying, you know, I'm like, well, this is some good stuff. Y'all make sure, y'all go get this book. This is this call is for you. It's God. Make sure you get this book. Make sure you get it. So, and matter of fact, I'm gonna read something right here of one of my aunts. It say once you take the first steps and remain consistent in movement, the pathway to your journey clearly unfolds. That was something for me. I was like, because things I'm trying to do and want to do,
Mm-hmm.
and that just
Right.
reassured, my journey.
Mm-hmm.
So let's get to calling, purpose, and attributes.
Okay.
What tell me the difference between all those three.
Okay. So with you, it now as I was really putting the book together and writing the book, those are three things that I wanted to make sure was very clear.
Mhm.
As I was writing the book and doing the transformation of going through everything, I interviewed people. And one thing I asked people often was, is there a difference between calling and purpose? Do you think calling and purpose is one and the same? Most people say that they are different, but they're intertwined. And a lot of people, and that was a lot of people that I interviewed, but a lot of people will group it together. We hear a lot of people talk my calling and purpose. And now, one thing that's really important to know is that they, as much as the two calling and purpose are married, they are intertwined, but they have their own separate entities. So that's something that's really, really important for people to realize. A calling, for example, is that sort of that tugging, it's that pulling, that urge to do something. That thing that God, everyone has a unique calling, and if you think about calling, sort of think about your the blueprint. What is a blueprint? A blueprint is very, very individualized. You think about your fingerprint, that fingerprint is very, very individualized. So your calling is something that's very, very individualized. It's not something that everybody has the same of. Just as and then I break down purpose. Purpose is the thing that actually gets that calling sort of in motion. Okay.
Mhm.
Uh, and to give an example, you may have a person that is called to be a doctor for the purpose of healing. You may have another person that's called to be a doctor for the purpose of, because you have doctors that do research, you have doctors that do healing. The calling may be one thing, but the purposes are different. So there's one calling, but there may be many purposes. Does that, if that makes sense at all? So the
Right.
purpose is that driving force that propels movement and gives direction to your calling. Okay. Um, so the attributes is another thing, and again, that's a piece of all of this. Attributes could be, it's like a combination of your temperament. We all have our own personalities. We all have various skills. We all have various strengths, various gifts and passions. So your attributes, all of those things fall into your attributes. So the calling, your purpose, and attributes all together work, but so that you can fulfill, uh, so that you can be more fulfilling, or fulfill that thing that God has called you to do. But it has to also be linked with God's divine purpose. What is it that? Because it's a lot bigger than just yourself. It's not
Mhm.
just about you, but it's a lot bigger than you.
Right. Um, I was going another way, but you just said something, and I was reading earlier, and what you said, the call is not for you. What did it say? I get it right. Though the call is for you, though not about you.
Mhm.
So go tell me a little bit more about that statement.
So when God, so it's really a matter of realizing that the reason that we're here on earth, it's not about just us. It's not about selfish gain. It's not about just for you to satisfy or please yourself, but it's a lot bigger. It's about fitting in to God's divine purpose for you, to his divine plan. Why? He was the one that created you. He created you for a purpose. It's just like you may have a cup, right? That cup, the purpose of that cup is for you to drink out of. There may be other purposes that people may use it for, but the creator of that particular cup created it for you to drink out of. God is the only one that knows why he made us, right? So being able to fit into that divine purpose is what it's all about. Outside of that, all things can happen. And we talk about that in the book. We talk about the attributes. We talk about the benefits of answering the call. We talk about the circumstances of not answering the call. I've seen people over and over again that experience depression simply for the sake of being stuck, simply because I don't know what to do. I don't know where to go. I feel so miserable. I feel stuck in life. And it could simply be because you're not answering, that you have not answered the call.
Hmm. Yeah, I can agree with that. Now, how important was it for you to, and why did you add scripture to this book?
Because apart from scripture, because God is the one who made us. He is our creator. So being able to fit scripture into this, I mean, you can't do it outside of that, because
Mm-hmm.
that is the guiding force, and that's the guiding force that really will help you navigate, not only with being closer to your creator and being able to hear why he's speaking to you as you're reading through this book, but it also allows you to be able to tie in a better way, in a more crisp, in a more clear way, what your calling is.
Right. And you have a a section in here talking about your mom, my
Mhm.
grandmother. Tell the audience of how important of a role she was in your life and writing this book.
Well, mom um, is my superhero. She is the human form of strength and of faith. It does me so good because I've always been intrigued about people, uh, people doing what they do and why people do what they do. As a researcher by trade, as a counselor, and as someone that's very intuitive, always asking the questions why. I've always been really intrigued about why people do what they do. And when I hear my mom so often, and just looking at the life that she's lived as a child, being in the home with seven other siblings, and seeing how she served others, seeing her walk with faith, seeing how she loved others unconditionally. I mean, people can do her wrong and she's still gonna love. She taught us to love regardless. But one thing I've heard my mom say so often, and that is, I love doing what I do. And when I just hear the words, I love doing what I do, how many people can say, genuinely say, I love doing what I do? Not many people.
Yeah.
And, I use her as an example in the book because with everything that she does, now, it doesn't mean that everything is going to be peaches and cream. It doesn't mean your walk of life is going to be peaches and cream. There's going to be things that you may face, but even with all of that, her walk with God, her walking in her calling, has is she loves doing what she do. And I asked her doing this as I was writing this book, what she was called to do. And what she is doing is what she was screaming to the mountaintop that is what she was called to do. So I had to put her in here as an example, even when I use other examples, other biblical examples, other examples outside the Bible as well. She had to be one of those in this
Mhm.
book.
Right. And you give other Derek Prince. I'm not familiar with him. Tell me about him.
So he was actually a world-renowned evangelist minister that talks a lot on this subject, and he had given examples about what it means to really answer God's call, and he gave examples of his life. So I'm not going to go into detail about that right now. I want you to get the book because
Hmm.
I sums it up in the book
Hmm.
about his purpose and why he felt that during his walk of life that he was fitting right into his calling, walking into the shoes that God called him to do.
Yeah, and that was good too. Y'all make sure y'all get the book. I'm gonna read some snippets of it, but y'all make sure
Okay.
y'all go get it. So this was
Okay.
another thing right here. This was one of my own moments. While some may have, I got to highlight it right there. Right, I don't know if y'all can see the
I
yellow.
see it. I see it.
It says while some may have a sense of their calling and purpose from an early age, others may not discover their calling until later in life. The cost of heeding your call too late in life poses a risk of restricting the duration of your impact on the people, environment, or generation that God has specifically assigned you. And I'm like, man, it's moments in this book where you gonna be like, man, wow, that's for me. You know, it's a good book. It's a good book. It's so what as far as what take me through the process of writing this book, and how was it tiring? Was it stressful? What? How
It
was
was
it for you?
it was all of that. It was
Mm-hmm.
all of that because I went through a transition, okay,
Mm-hmm.
of starting as as that manuscript, and then I sort of just put it down. For years it just sat. And
Mm-hmm.
then there was something, I won't say something, there was that calling and that pulling that God had me to really write to really write this book. So years would go by and I would pick up the book again and I would write and write and write. And I would put it back down because years would go by again and I would pick it up again and I would put it back down. But each time I felt like this is it. This is it. I'm ready to go ahead and publish the book. But there was always something on the inside that says, "Oh, not yet." The book is just something else that I felt like there was something that was missing in the book,
Mm-hmm.
and so I could not let it go. There were times whenever I had someone else to edit the book, and their voice was not my voice. I had two individuals that I know very, very well, that is very close to me, to look at the book because they have written books themselves, and to go in and edit the book. But then I had to go back to my voice but it wasn't in my voice. So I had to undo their changes
Mm-hmm.
and put it back the way that I had it. And then I would pick it up again. So years would pass by, and then it was like that pulling and that urgency was now at a place where it was just overflowing, and God was giving me things, and He was putting things in me to write. I would go on retreats. I do my spiritual retreats. I would go on those retreats. I would take time away. I would take days off and try to put things together. And I would get a lot of information to put in the books, but still not yet
Mm-hmm.
until around 2022 it came. And when it came, God was just spilling things into me to do the interviews. I interview people. I talk to people a lot. When I was at the beach, I would talk to people a lot. I would ask questions, and then He would give me other things to put in with the scriptures and all of that. So once it came, it just kept coming. And I just
Right.
couldn't put it down until I felt good to say, okay, this is it. I can release it now.
Yeah. And then here she does have what you just said about the beach, her experiences with meeting people on the beach and talking, and
Mm-hmm.
when she thought she was in a what'd you say, you thought you was in a secluded place by yourself or something, and
Mm-hmm.
somebody found you and y'all
Yes.
talked about something.
Yeah, and there was time and time with that. So during that time when the book was really, when things were really coming, God was really giving what to put. I would run across people, and they were they were overwhelmingly excited and thrilled about the book, wanting me to have their name on the list when the book was over, when it was done. And people loved the title of the book. Now, one thing I can say is that the title never changed.
He never changed.
It never changed. All those many years, the title never changed. With the transitions in the book, it stayed the same. That the title stayed true. The title that God gave me stayed true. But people were very overwhelmingly excited about it. And every picture, every photo in the book are photos that I took. Either photos that I took, or you'll see my baby picture in there somewhere as well. But
Mm-hmm.
the cover of the book, that's a beach. That's a beach photo that I took. That's not. I was determined that I didn't want anyone else's photos in that book because I love taking pictures. In my spare time, if I see something, I take a picture of it. So every photo that you see in that book were photos when I was at the beach. I love the beach, and that's when a lot of the information came to me.
Maybe I need to go to the beach by myself and just lay out. I don't know if I get it done though.
I would totally recommend it because a lot came to me during that solitude time where I could where God could just speak to me. Those were times when the television was turned off. There was no one there but me. I would take off a week and just go to the beach, and no one was there for me. And a lot of the information, a lot of the interaction with people came during those solitude times when I didn't have the distractions of everyday life of individuals. I love my family. I love my husband. I love my children. They're very supportive, even with my time going away, which is awesome when you have that support. But there are times when you just need that time for God to be able just to speak to you and just to pour into you. And that's when a lot of this came.
Mm.
And that's where I ended. That's where I ended writing it too, at the beach.
At the beach. Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Now you just said something. So how important is it to you said you went to the beach on vacation without your family and your husband.
Yes.
Now this, I guess I don't know if this is still with the book or not. So talk about that for couples, like how important it is to get away for a while and just relax. And I guess be to yourself. I guess is that important in a relationship?
That's extremely important. It's extremely important because as much as you are a couple, you're also individual,
Mm.
right? So for couples, I touch bases on both of those. For couples, it's really important for couples to get away, leave the children home, or have somebody to keep them for a week or whatever, and get away as a couple. That is important for couples, and spend that uninterrupted time together, not being entertained by television, not being entertained by movies, whatever. You can put a little bit of that in there, but spending that quality time together and being able to just learn about each other. It increases empathy, and it also allows you to learn what the other person is all about. Now, also during that time, even when you're together, when you go away as a couple, being apart some of that time, like doing your thing, the wifey doing her thing, you doing your thing, is also important because we need that time to be able to grow, to be able to reflect. And outside of that, whether you're married or not, I am a huge proponent. Someone else may disagree. I'm a huge proponent of taking that time and going away by yourself and spending that time with God. Mine is their spiritual personal retreats where I spend uninterrupted time with God. I'm reading my Bible. I'm planning for, I'm reflecting on life, on my plans for the upcoming year, on what I accomplished the previous year, on relationships, how I can be better, and just communing with God. So that, and just really rejuvenating because we work day in and day out. So being able just to rejuvenate without someone saying, what time are we going to breakfast? What time are we going to lunch? What do you want to do next? None of that. You wake up when you want to wake up. You don't have to get up out of bed if you don't want to get up out of bed. You don't have to get dressed or do whatever. That time is your time. And I'm going to tell you something. Jesus did that. Why shouldn't I? Why shouldn't you? There are plenty of times when Jesus, you open the word, you will see when Jesus went away by himself. If I want to be like Jesus and I want to follow his example, it's okay for me to go away by myself. Now, if someone has trust issues in a couple, that's a lot bigger than this. You need to seek counseling, okay? But I totally recommend having that self retreat by yourself. Yes, I do.
Couples, y'all hear that now? Go somewhere by yourself. Yeah, that's good. That's good. That's good. Now, where can you where can people find your book at?
They can go to thiscallisforyou.com. Thiscallisforyou.com. You can also find it on Amazon as well. This
Okay.
call is for you.
And you on any social media sites?
I am on social media sites. The book itself, or you can look me up on social media. Audrina Jones Bunton on Facebook, on Instagram, on TikTok, any of those. But in order to, as far as getting the book, you can go to the website and order the book at the website, or you can also order it on Amazon.
Right. Now, did we leave out anything else you want to share about the book?
I think one thing that I want to share is I want you to, one thing that's really, really, really important in the book is you're going to also find ways to foster connection and to hear from God. Because a lot of people are like, well, I don't know. I don't know how to hear from God. I don't know when God is speaking to me or when he's talking to me. There's a list of common practices that you can start engaging in to be able to hear God so that you can hear what your calling is. And there's also, it also highlights and letting you see how not answering the call, what it can do in your life. Some of you right now may be experiencing some of those things right now. And that is, like I said earlier, being anxious, being depressed. Sometimes jealousy can set in because you wanted to do what someone else was called to do. You cannot fit into someone else's shoes. That size shoe, that shoe is for that person only. So that's a tendency that people have is they want to do something because someone else is doing it. If you're not called to do it, then you're not called to do a certain thing. You want to do the thing that God called you to do. That's where that fulfillment comes in. That's where fitting into that divine plan comes in. So there are lots of examples about that. There are lots of scriptures also that help support that.
Right, right. This call is for you. It's God. The journey to discovering God's call and purpose for your life. Make sure you go get this book. You're going to have some moments when you're like, this talking to me. I should be doing this. And it has homework. It actually has homework and it's good. Good scriptures to read, apply to your everyday life. Make sure you get this book. This call is for you. You and you. Go get this book. All right, there you have it for another episode of the Impel Forth Podcast. And remember, seize the opportunity to grasp your dreams. This call is for you. Peace.